Hello, and on today's show, we say goodbye to one of our favorite tour operators, GoGo Vacations. We're also getting some first-hand experience on a go-to French destination, Bordeaux, and we're exposing your airport outfits with today's poll answers. All that, plus one of my favorite people in the industry and president of Avalon Waterways, Pam Hoffee, is going to be joining us. She's going to be joining us for a good old-fashioned love travel, live travel chinwag. All of that starts right now. Well, thank you for joining us. I am the ringleader, Joshua Harrell, with my co-host, Jason Block.
How we doing?
And in the gallery, we have our executive producer and sometimes co-host, Mr. Paul LaHood. We have to send some love and energy to our producer, Evan. He's under the weather today. So no sound effects unless, I definitely no scary sound effects because I know that Paul won't, they're not even labeled, so I don't think that will happen. And then safe travels to associate producer Christopher, who is on his way back from Minneapolis. We were all just there.
Sure were.
He just ended up, I think he meant to get on a 7 a.m. flight and he got on a 7 p.m. flight, so.
Well, okay.
What do you do when you are in Minneapolis for the day?
Show me the money.
You wander around and you take pictures with the Mary Tyler Moore statue.
Okay.
Have you done that before?
I have not done that.
Well, I did it last night, so.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Check my socials. Yep, I did. So thank you guys for joining us. Love Travel, Live Travel is a show all about... if you love travel, all of you who love travel, you love it so much that you chose to live in travel and make a living in travel. Very, very fun, colorful profession being in travel, right?
It is. I think it's the best profession in the world.
Yes. It's not the oldest profession in the world.
No, it is not. It is not.
It is not that. It is
not
not
to
that.
be confused with the oldest. No.
Oh, producer Paul's not going to let us down with sound effects.
There we go.
He's going to get us those. So welcome wherever or whenever you are watching or listening to our show, YouTube or Apple Podcasts. But don't forget, wherever, whenever, like us, subscribe, get the notifications, share
All
with
of
your
it.
friends, do all the
bells,
things.
the check marks,
Yes.
If you can click it.
Yeah, I mean, one day we'll have those animations that all the YouTubers have. All the YouTubers have the little animations. But if you are joining us live, please join us in the chat. We're going to pop over there.
That's where it's happening.
That's where it's at. The chat is where it's at. We'll pop in throughout the show, especially because we want answers to our poll question. And our poll question is, do you wear something specific to travel in? I realized that when I posted that in the comments before the show started, it made it sound like just traveling in general. People
Right.
do wear resort wear when they're traveling, but we're specifically talking about your airport
attire,
airplane attire.
Got
So that's my question for you. Do you have a go-to? Do you have a choice, an outfit that you do?
Not anything specific, but it might shock you to learn that I normally choose to wear black.
That's
when
the other
flying.
poll question. Does that surprise you?
Surprise you? I don't think that surprises anybody. But it's for a reason. Two reasons. One, So in case I'm eating or drinking something on the plane, I don't spill. Or if I do, it kind of masks it, right? But second, if I'm gonna be getting off the plane, odds are I'm going somewhere like right after. Mm-hmm. So black can it's more versatile.
Okay.
So I can just kind of go right into whatever I'm doing.
No, that makes total sense. I
Very, very practical.
Yeah.
Choices.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever dressed in preparation for spillage
see?
So that's definitely something to take into consideration.
That's right.
I have never had a go-to outfit for air travel. But I was on Amazon, I just wandered over there. It's not like I'm there all the time.
No.
And I found these two-piece polyester suit type things, kind of like, I mean, it was casual wear, lounge wear, button down, polyester, kind of loosey, but a little bit heavy, so you could kind of do different temperatures or whatever. And so that is now my go-to thing. I've got them in 3 colors, and they don't wrinkle.
So it wasn't just let's get one, see if we like it. We're just going to dive into 3.
Yeah, because you never know. Like you don't want to miss out. I mean, you guys know that if you go to like a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls, if you can't think about something, you got to kind of just go ahead and get it because you can always return it if it doesn't work. So let's see what our audience thinks here. Let's see. Popping over to the chat. Before we get into the answers to the poll question, Bill, who normally joins us, he said, I may not be able to join later due to slow internet on board the Hurtigruten Troll Fjord. So in case I'm not on today, today is plan a solo vacation day.
Oh, interesting.
And he tries to compete with our poll. He said, what's your go-to option for solo travelers? All right, Bill.
I think
it's good. We're gonna add it to.
I love Bill's dedication.
Our we'll have a sub poll that we'll get to the Bill poll. Yes. So here's some answers to the what's your go-to.
I'm gonna predict I'm not alone nor crazy in my
black attire.
In my choices. Yeah. Let's see what they say. Let's see what the experts say.
You've actually got the chat up. You could.
I haven't read it though.
Okay.
I just like looking at it.
I like that producer Paul is laughing because he's like, yeah, it's not right. All right, Lisa said, happy Friday, jeans and a comfy t-shirt. I'd totally be down with you.
Yeah.
Worldview Chris, a happy Friday from MSP Airport. I wore my sport coat, so I looked important. Now, something I'm going to tell you about our Chris.
See, it happened to me here again.
What happened?
And we need to remind people, if you're watching live and you're engaging with the chat, make sure you have live chat selected, not just top chat. Because you just referenced a post. I'm like, where's that? I don't see that.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt your flow.
So after this, we'll send you a link to how to use the YouTube.
All right, I'm learning.
So
sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's okay. But I got to travel with our Chris to Minneapolis, and he was wearing his sport coat. It was like a wool sport coat. And in Atlanta, it was cool, and it was going to be cooler in MSP. But, I mean, just kind of getting through TSA and all that stuff, by the time we got to the gate, he was boiling. I was like, no, this is where a polyester suit really comes in handy. It's very crazy.
is it like the kind of wool sport coat that would have like the elbow patches?
Yes.
Almost like you could smoke a pipe with it?
Oh, he totally, and yes.
Okay.
Or have the rifle up under his arm.
Oh.
Like, like
going skeet shooting?
Yeah. He's like, he's totally. No, I don't know that he had the patches on him, but no, he looked sharp. And he definitely looked like he was important.
So it looked important. That's great.
Yes. Tapestry Travel
Chris.
said, "Oh, definitely comfortable but classy at the airport." I honestly never thought about what I wore. It was, I mean, I get a bed head. I didn't care. I don't know. This is interesting that so much thought goes into it.
I'm reading that, and I love the Tapestry Travel name, but I'm thinking Comfortable but Classy would be a fun agency name, too.
Comfortable
Yeah.
but classy.
Comfortable but Classy. CBC. Love it.
You automatically have to take it to an acronym.
Not automatically.
But you did.
Because there's a little bit of, semi-alliteration happening there.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, let's see. Daniela said, "Happy Friday." Alan Granza, "Happy Friday to you." Laura De Vega, "Happy Friday, everyone. I like to call it my fancy casual plain attire. It may or may not have an elastic waistband." I like that.
It's like the subtext to Comfortable but Classy.
I like that. I like that.
Looks very nice, but elastic waistband.
All right, so Alan,
Fantastic.
Alan, forever the marketer. It's all about that. Make that money. Logoed sweatshirt always.
I think that is okay. We're gonna go with a second informal poll question here.
Okay.
How many of you out there have logoed gear that you wear, and how often do you wear it?
Yeah.
Maybe let's save that as a future topic to talk about because it's an underrated tactic, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do it right and wrong.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's make a note.
I will note that I wasn't in my polyester two-piece when I was.
Oh, so it's a two-piece. I was picturing like a polyester jumper thing.
No, that would be good though.
Would it?
That would be good.
Would it? Then you'd have to like going to the restroom could be challenging, no?
Yeah, I did get into rompers this year, and that became a problem. Yeah, but no. So I was not in my two-piece because I was working the day we left.
Yeah.
So I did wear some. You had gotten me a World Via. I wouldn't say it's a puffer vest. It's a slightly puffered vest.
It's a quilted vest.
It's a quilted vest.
There we go.
And I felt important because I was wearing my brand, but I was wearing it's a subtle logo.
Yeah.
It's not like, whoa. So I was like, yeah, I am important. Yeah. But not sport coat important.
No.
Anyway, way to go, Alan. Alan has done some cool branding things, activities that are actually quite traditional, and it's worked for him. So that day that we do talk about that, which is not now, that day that we'll talk about Alan specifically.
Okay.
All right. Amy was just here with Sydney. Comfortable but fashionable and usually black. So
I got a +1 on the black.
Oh yeah, black. Daniela said comfortable casual travel attire, mostly black. Okay. So none of my two pieces are black. I mean, one of them's navy, and one of them's like an army green. Like I'm a part of a military faction.
I'm imagining the militia that would incorporate a quote two-piece. I'm kind of stuck on just the notion of a two-piece. Like I don't think I own anything that qualifies as a two-piece.
I bet you have sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
I bet you I don't.
You don't really? Okay, so that's kind of
Not
how
that's
I
part of
look
a
at
match
it.
set.
Yeah, that's how I look at this. Is that's why I call it a two-piece like that.
What army is this that has the?
No, I know,
the
but
two-piece? Is it shorts? Shorts and a top?
No. They're long pants. But it makes me think of like Charlie's Angels, and like if I were wearing a gold chain, I would be a part of the people like that's defending the villain on the hill in California. That doubles as somewhere in Greece.
We could just dive into that, Josh. We'll do a
In
whole
the
show on that.
70s, every single TV show was filmed in California, and it was supposed to represent everywhere. It would be like, this is Greece, this is Italy,
Right.
which those kind of believable.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I watched a show that was supposed to be Miami, and there were these giant mountains behind. And I was like,
like, what's this?
that's not right. That's not quite right. Anyway, sorry. Going back. Terry said, I love when the cloth napkins have buttonholes.
I'm thinking that might have been, on the when planes had the two big front tires, the little back tire, and the propellers.
He says no eating with one hand and holding up your napkin with the other.
It was like where if you were going to fly, across the country, you had to stop in St. Louis to refuel. It was those days, I think. I'm just kidding, Terry.
I love when the buttonholes. I
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Like those, like in the 30s, when they would, the pioneering days of air travel. Like
Yeah,
from
but
Indiana Jones, where they showed the map and the planes like stopping in
yes,
Morocco.
I know
Yeah,
exactly
okay.
what you're talking
That's what
about.
I'm picturing.
But I'm trying to figure out how, if a napkin had a buttonhole in it, what would that?
I guess you could hook it to your button here.
Oh, do
Yeah.
you know what? I am thinking.
No tucking it in like a chump.
Yeah,
You're very
I'm at Red Lobster and I'm gonna strap it on for some Red Lobster. No, I was immediately thinking here, like I'm gonna have my napkin.
What? Yeah. Now I gotta say, if the napkin had the buttonhole, I think Terry might be on to something.
Yeah, Terry, you blew. I mean,
I've never heard of it,
I
such a
needed
thing.
an illustration, but I'm just saying. Now I get it. I really. It was more like, oh, a gentleman caller is here. That's kind of how I saw it. All right, moving on. Jesse said, I miss the days when people dressed up to travel. I feel you should be under 2 to wear your PJs to fly. And that that is true.
I'm gonna say amen to that.
I mean, like I said, I am in a polyester 2-piece. I mean, it does look a little bit relaxed, but my flight this morning, which was at 7 a.m., there were people that were in their pajamas,
Yeah.
and it was very clear.
My children are horrible offenders. You'd think they rolled straight out of bed, still wearing slippers. I kid you not. They go in public in slippers all the time, not just to fly.
Oh, that's not even. You got to tell them that's not even meant to like hold up.
Trust me.
And I
it
bet
is
they
an
don't pick
ongoing
their
battle.
feet up. I bet they shuffle. They're just gonna wear that down, and then they're gonna bring that in the house. The slippers. Oh. All right. So Tapestry Travel agrees with Jesse. Dan, we got to see Dan
Yes.
in Minneapolis. Dan, it's good to see you. He said, I always wear my largest, heaviest pair of shoes so I don't have to pack them.
I'm with you on that one.
That's a practical move.
I do that as well, unless I know I'm going somewhere where I have to do like a lot of walking, and I don't want to wear like nice big loafers. But yeah, normally I'm with you.
But see, that's where everybody has beef with me that I pack so many, I check so many bags, and it's because of shoes and like having options and stuff.
Yeah.
Because if I were like Dan, and I had these like boots on.
You'd have to wear the big
whatever.
go-go boots on the,
right,
on the
right.
plane.
And then how am I gonna sleep with that? And then I'm gonna get up and then go to the toilet, which they've got those. It's like made for little tiny, like it's got a curve in it. I mean, I basically
the platform go-go boots are not a
not gonna
practical
work.
choice. And it wouldn't
It doesn't even matter.
It wouldn't even go with the two-piece romper. Like this isn't. That's not going to work.
No, that's not going to work at all because the polyester. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So
But
Dan,
it's a practical idea.
Yeah, it's a practical idea.
And for us dressers who aren't as stylish as you, it's a good choice. But for you, you have special considerations.
Yeah. So everybody stop having beef with me about checking so many bags. Unless you have to wait with me in baggage claim and one of the bags is oversized and gets delayed. Stop having beef with me about it.
I'm totally stuck on this. I have to say it or I won't be able to do the rest of the show.
Okay.
I would pay money
Yeah.
to fly on a plane with you.
Okay.
Seeing like those red platform boots that you had. Like if you wore those onto the plane with just like normal clothes. And people ask you, like, what are you wearing? Oh, well, I didn't want to pack them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I would pay money for that experience.
I
bet you I'm not the only one.
I would do it. Yeah, I would totally do it. If you were there to watch it, I would do it. All right, attitudes and latitudes.
Oh my gosh.
Jeans and long sleeve top. I always get cold, so I have something that I want to. It's a craftsman piece, so I want to share this at some point. I don't know, Scotland or Ireland. I don't know where this couple is, but they make this thing. I think it is Scotland, but they make these wool wraps, and they're these traditional wraps that have been made since I don't know. People have been in Ireland and Scotland. And men and women wear them. Oftentimes, you would see like a Scottish hunter wear it, and then they kind of pin it to
Kind
the
of goes
top.
over the shoulder,
Yeah,
right?
over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Or it can wrap, but it's really heavy, and
Okay.
it's so perfect for being on a plane because sometimes you get on and the temperature's a little funny, and then it gets a little cold. So it is your blanket, and it's your blanket. It's not the one that's kind of. I mean, do they wash those blankets? I don't think so. I think someone just sits in there folds it and puts it in a shrink wrap machine, and they just kind of. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't.
The airplane blanket is kind of like a U-Haul packing blanket.
Right. Well, I wish it was even that. I wish
it's-
it was.
It looks like it's made of like compressed materials that they just
Yeah.
It's never a good thing.
And who is it made for? It has
not
to be,
not me. I can tell you that.
It covers my arm. It does not even cover like any bit that wants to be warm. Like I have that. I don't understand any of that.
But the pillows are nice, full size.
Oh yeah, yeah. I told producer Paul today that I just discovered that I've learned to sleep like this, which I know is just going to cause neck and back problems. But oh well, I got to travel, no big deal. In the news this week, we for the industry, we had a little bit of a surprise on Tuesday evening. Go-Go Vacations announcing after 70 plus years, they're closing the doors on that business, owned by Flight Center, a much larger company out of Australia. They said, rest assured, all existing bookings, and the reason why I want to say this is because so many of the agency owners and advisors that I know who work with Go-Go got really, really panicked when this news dropped. But they did say, rest assured, all existing bookings, both groups and FIT, will continue to be honored and serviced via online support and our group's team. There is no need to cancel existing bookings. And then I'm going to add a little personal anecdote there because one of our friends, Lisa, who we got to see in Minneapolis, she and I were talking about this, and she had a booking, and it just a very, very new booking, and she went in to go service it, and she couldn't see it. And she was like, oh my God, they lied to me. Like, she was freaked out. Well, there was a change that needed to be approved, but they were there to help, so all is good there. But what are your thoughts about them?
Surprising, not surprising.
Okay. Yeah?
I mean, Go-Go is a brand that's been around for a long, long time.
Which I didn't realize. It wasn't, I came into the industry in 2017, and
Yeah.
I had been told by many advisors that they were a brand, a tour operator that you could go to, that you really had a lot of one-on-one service, and people liked that aspect, that they called in and they kind of spoke to some of the same people. That was kind of their hook.
Yeah.
But and then in the press release, you said 70 plus years, but you had said to me that they've been around for a long time.
They had been around for a long time and quite successful. I think this is a case, not to say negative things or spread ill will, but I think this is a case where a lot of things over the past years went wrong, and it's an example of where one business model in one part of the world doesn't always translate to another part of the world. And I think if you look at the tour operator space here in North America, it's different than it is in Australia Pacific, and
where Flight Center is based.
Where our Flight Center is based. And I think maybe I obviously don't want to speak for their company, but from the North American advisor perspective, there are expectations of how your business will be served, and there's expectations around customer service. There's expectations around commission and margins that weren't getting filled to advisors' satisfaction. And over time, you start seeing things like big cuts in the sales team relationships, and we talk a lot about supplier BDMs here in the industry, and the trade sales teams at suppliers, and suppliers who invest in those trade sales teams are well positioned to sell through the advisor channel. And when you see companies starting to cut back on those investments, because it is an investment for them, when you see them cutting back, it's generally an indication, either number one, that they don't, and I'm not saying this is Flight Center, but generally, number one, they don't necessarily care about the advisor sales channel, or number two, they're just looking to, squeeze profit, right, grow profit, and viewing that as a distribution cost, not in an investment in growth. And I think we come across suppliers who fall into different sides of that equation. Some suppliers, actively invest in trade sales, in building relationships and marketing to help grow everybody's business, right? And others maybe view it more as a pure operating expense that should be minimized. And I think this is maybe an example of what happens if you go too far in one direction. But
well, I couldn't have predicted it, but I will say that working with a lot of suppliers through the pandemic, everybody constricted, and the teams got smaller. But they seem to be the last to even come back or attempt to try to come back out of it.
Look, I mean, Flight Center's a big company and a good company. And they're clearly making investments in other they own holdings in all sorts of different aspects of travel, right? And they're clearly making or prioritizing investments in other places. And that's up to each company how they want to deploy their capital. So I don't think we can read into this that it was just a terrible operation.
Right.
I don't think you could conclude that. I think a big part of it is Flight Center saying, hey, we want to invest in these other areas, and we want to focus in these other areas, and as a result, we're going to get out of this particular aspect of the business.
Right.
Which, makes sense in a lot of cases. So I think it's certainly seeing, when I say surprising, not surprising, we've certainly seen, as, at the industry level, Go-Go's volumes steadily decline over the years. So in that way, it's not surprising.
Well, to everybody at Go-Go, continuing to service the bookings.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support and good luck to all of you. And the industry is thriving. So
It is.
we know you will land in amazing opportunities if there's not already something within your company opening up. So you never know, right?
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
plans all over the place. But I don't love that we're coming off of that was a Debbie Downer story there.
Wah,
And then,
wah.
yeah, I know. And then I really didn't time that so well to set up our very, very special guest, someone who, the moment I met, I just absolutely fell in love with her. And I've had many, many good memories with her through different industry events. And I love their product. So I'm very, very excited that she. So just so you guys know, here's the secret. So to bring guests to Love Travel Live Travel, I'm like texting people whenever I have time. And by the way, I might be a little bit busy. So sometimes it's 11:30 at night that I'm texting people, and they're like, "Why are you bothering me so late?" Well, this friend took the message and said, I would love to be on the show. So I would like to welcome to the show President of Avalon Waterways, Pam Hoffee. Pam, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. We're not matching today though, which is disappointing because usually we match and we never plan it. So
This is just going to be about us.
sorry, Jason. We don't usually match, Jason. So match each other.
Well, Pam, if you tuned into the first part of the show, you'd find that unless you were in black all the time, your chances of matching Jason very, very unlikely.
That actually is quite often. But no, I tuned in when you were talking about that you think they just shrink wrap them up, and I was like, what are they talking about? I was quick to pick up on that one because I've wondered that myself sometimes.
Well, Pam, thanks for joining Love Travel Live Travel. You are like I said, I have just adored you. We have had some very good, some fun times together. I wanted to make sure, I don't know if Paul has it ready, but I have a photo of us at the christening of the View. Can you pull it up, Paul? Look at us.
Photo with our godmother Meredith Vieira and the captain of the View Ambrosa Maniloch. Yeah, that was a great day back in 2022. I mean, that was as a lot of people were just heading back into travel after the pandemic. So it was a great trip.
Well, I thought we looked fabulous, and you can come off the
You guys
picture
do
now.
look fabulous in that photo.
Thank you. That's
but-
back when you had your long locks.
I know. I kept like having to like play with my hair all the time. I was like, But the thing that I love, the story behind that photo. So when they do these and you put together, you and your team put together such a phenomenal event for that, because we were just coming back out of the pandemic, and we needed a celebration, and you created the celebration, and it was beautiful. Where were we?
We were in Bratislava. We
That's
sailed
what-
from Vienna to Bratislava and back to Vienna for that event.
That's what I thought. But so there's the champagne, the speeches, all of this is happening, and then and then everybody lines up for photos. Everybody on the ship, okay? Because everybody wants to get photos. So somehow I got with a group of people that snuck down really fast, right? And so I didn't have to wait in a long line. I like that, right? That's called VIP service. That was not intended. That was skipping the line. But just before that picture was taken, Meredith Vieira put her hand down my top, and she was like, "This is such a nice top," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that."
I don't know that I saw that. She was really lovely. I mean, we have always had such lovely people as the godmothers of our ships, and we've had some industry people, and then we've had celebrities. We've had kind of a mix, and we're about to christen our newest ship, the Avalon Algria. So I actually leave tomorrow for a month in Europe. So yeah, I do not have one thing packed. I tried on the dress that I bought for that christening like a while ago, and it luckily still fits. So that was good news last night.
Yeah, girl.
But it's Sherry O'Terry is the godmother of that ship.
Oh my
From Saturday
goodness.
Night Live, one of the cheerleader with Will Ferrell. So that's going to be really fun. So it's our newest ship on the Douro River, and so the christening is not for almost a month, but I leave tomorrow just because of all sorts of things happening in the meantime. So we have our season kickoff meeting where we get all of the management of our ships together to reinforce the Avalon Way, as we call it, which is what really brings to life the feeling on board our ships, this kind of relaxed luxury feeling, and for everyone, and to get everybody excited for the season. So that's the first thing I'll be there for. And then the Asta River Cruise Conference, which brings 1,400 advisors together with the entire industry to learn about river cruising. And, I love having Avalon there. We'll have 2 ships there. So yeah, lots happening. And then moving on to Portugal.
That's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And producer Paul is like hiding Jason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
There, yeah. I mean, it really, we forgot to tell Jason that it was just going to be the Pam and Joshua show.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
He's probably used to that when he's around you because you kind of do that. So I'm surprised it's not just the Joshua show, actually.
Pam, I do have a question.
Pam, I texted you and I said there was a strategy, and
I do have a question. With your 30-day trip upcoming, this is something that advisors have to deal with quite regularly, and that is being gone, out of the office, quote unquote, for extended periods. How do you manage that and still get the work done? Even if you're working, out of the country, there's obviously things still going on back at home in the office. And how do you manage to, keep things prioritized and stay connected? Do you have any tips you could share?
Geez, I wish I was better at it than I am, but will tell you. So I've been working like a maniac the last week to try to get big projects done. So that's one thing. I do put on an out of office, which I know some people don't do, but I don't say I'm not going to get back to you. I say it may take longer than usual. And
Right.
that if it's urgent and you don't hear from me, to text me or send me a Teams message. So, I do that. And then I try to just keep up, using my phone. I try to answer things that can be done quickly, with my phone constantly. And then, it's unfortunately an every night thing where I catch up on email as best I can. I will say big projects are hard to do when you're traveling and when you're gone for a month. So that's why you need a team. And I surround myself with people who are smarter than me and better than me. And I think that that's the the best piece of advice I can give to anyone is to hire people who are smarter and better than you, to be part of your team and engage them, help them grow, and then you have backup while you're gone to help take care of things and to grow and engage when you can't be there. So that's the best advice.
well, I love that you reference the team, and you have a wonderful team, and I know many of our agency owners and advisors who work with your team, just adore them. So you do have a great team, but you did started out with that. Even with that great team, you're doing emails late at night. You're managing with on your phone. I find that odd that I say stuff like, I will get back to you, but I'm on my phone. Like, I can't really fully process this email because I'm on my phone. But it is the truth. I need to have my computer open to be able to access files or whatever. But you're Pam Hoffee is just like us.
That's the thing that I'm really bad at, though, is I'll look at it on my phone and I'll go, oh, I'm going to get back to that when I get on my computer, and then the memory is kind of fading, and so it gets lost. And I go, oh yeah, I remember now. I remember that when somebody comes to you and says, "Did you get this email?" So I'm sure that's the curse of the phone, right? Is that you see it and you think, "Oh, I'll get back to that because I
That's
cannot
right.
answer that on
That's
my
right.
phone."
That's
Yeah,
right.
so we all do that. That's the part that is the bad part about trying to keep up with email on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously, you're getting ready for an amazing event. Well, multiple events. Like you mentioned the Asta River Expo. That's a huge event. And the christening, your season, the kickoff. Is there anything that, just as you look at your brand, what's going on, it's been obviously ever since the incident, as the Icelandic people like to call the pandemic happened, the pandemic, ever since that happened, things have been a little wonky, right? Like, it's not following traditional patterns. Is there anything that you're seeing now across your brand or maybe across the industry that you're like, oh, that's kind of, we're getting back to a little bit of normal, or that is completely bizarre? I wonder if that's going to stick around. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I mean, for us, 2024 is doing incredibly well. And I think, I'm hearing from everyone that river cruising is doing incredibly well, like better than before the incident, if we're going to call it that now. I'm okay with that. So I would love it if that's the new normal for us. I think it should be. I think that, the reality is that a lot of people who had never tried river cruising and thought that it wasn't necessarily for them tried river cruising, coming out of COVID, because it was small ships. There wasn't this worry that you might get stuck on the ship, which was let's face it, an unrealistic worry about cruising, but it was a worry that people had. And it wasn't a worry with river cruising because we were in inland waterways and all these things that were talked about. And so the small ship was, a big advantage that we had, though. So a lot of people who didn't necessarily think river cruising was for them, but cruising was, tried river cruising for the first time and then realized, wow, this is an amazing way to travel. And now are kind of sold on the idea and realize that it's very active and it's not for old people. And I'll just put that out there. That was this kind of impression. We've seen the average age with Avalon drop substantially. I've heard some others say that as well. But, we buy research and we see that Avalon's age is still slightly lower than the industry. We do attribute a lot of that to our active and discovery style of cruises, that, have these active choices as well as so active things like kayaking, hiking, what else? Lots of biking options, all included in the cruise fare. And it's not just about active, though. There are also these discovery choices. So going and meeting the winemaker, cooking classes, art classes. We featured those on the cruise you did with us to Christen the View, and then the classic sightseeing as well. So all of these choices, and just really immersive way to experience a destination. And younger travelers, typically, that's what they want. They don't just want typical sightseeing. They want to immerse themselves and have authentic experiences. And so we really are seeing our age, drop, but at the same time, not alienating the traditional river cruiser. So it's been an interesting change. I think that's the new normal. And I kind of got a little bit off track, but about just the fact that river cruising is doing incredibly well. So we're seeing numbers similar or better than 2019, which was, at the time a historic year for us in terms of sales. 2020 was set to outdo 2019. I think we're on pace to hit that. And 2025 is actually ahead of where we were for 2024. And we're growing in 2025. We've added about 10% more capacity than what we had in 24. So we're really excited about this new, hopefully normal for river cruising.
So Pam, since my first river cruise in, 2016, I have been an evangelist with the message that,
yes.
I know Josh was sick of hearing it, that river cruising, exactly you said, is not just for old people, quote unquote, that it is probably certainly one of the most unique, but probably the best or my favorite way to experience Europe. If you continue to see your average age decrease, and likely that's coming from overall top line growth, how does the industry as a whole grapple with providing enough supply?
Well, the reality is that there's still room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I get that question a lot of, well, won't the rivers get too crowded? There's still plenty of room to grow. There are plenty of communities still looking to add as a destination.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always have to go to Milk, for example. There
Right.
are other communities along the river, like Avalon started going to a place called Ebes, which is right near Milk. And you can go to Milk, Abbey, from Ebes, but you can also do other things from there. So we have a trip to a bee farm, and you do a baking class there. There are all sorts of places that are interested in having river cruise ships come and developing their economy. And so there are opportunities to continue to grow on the rivers. The river cruise passenger ships is a very small percentage of the traffic on these rivers in reality,
Mm-hmm.
and there's room to grow. So I'm not worried about that. I think that there's this kind of thought that over tourism is looming in river cruising. It's not. We still have plenty of capacity to grow. There were conversations about certain cities not wanting ships recently, and actually saying ships couldn't come as of. I'll just be very open. Amsterdam, that was a conversation last year. That is ocean ships, because they can't use shore power. We can use shore power. So at this moment, it doesn't affect river cruise ships, and we're hopeful that we can continue with that conversation, and the fact that we can use shore power. We're smaller ships, that we're bringing the types of travelers that the city of Amsterdam should want there, and that we're good partners in terms of positive travel. So that's really the story behind river cruising. And as you said, it's a great way to see Europe, and I think there's still plenty of room to grow.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear you say that, just personally. But it excites me, just this notion of a lot of what are probably largely unknown spots in Europe yet to discover for the traveling public. And a lot of people just want to go and experience Europe. It can be in a little village, it can be in a little town, and sometimes that's the best place to do it. So that's very exciting. Will that require investments in infrastructure, docks, and so forth?
Sometimes, yes. Some of the cities want to make those investments. Sometimes it's on us to make the investment.
Right.
We've partnered with some communities to build docking locations, so it varies. We're also we're open to working with communities in that way. So I think it's an important part of our sustainability message, actually, that we work with communities that want to have tourism, and be good partners with them.
It's incredibly exciting. As a fan of river cruising,
You basically just
you made my day.
Yeah, you've made his day
Yeah.
because for the rest of his life, you've just basically said that there is now there's always going to be an option for him.
and
He doesn't have to
infinite-
do any repeats. Like he's good.
Well, we went to Esztergom on the christening of the View, Joshua. And I'm in Hungary, and nobody's ever been there pretty much on most river cruises. And I would love to build an itinerary that's in a place called the Danube Bend, and I would love to build an itinerary that does that region. We go to Visegrad in Hungary right now on our active discovery. I mean, there's so many places that we can create some new itineraries for second time river cruises for people who've been and done the Danube. You've done something on the Danube. There's so many other places to see.
I know we're short on time today, but I would love to have you back at some point in the future to dive into how do you construct an itinerary. To me, that is something that is so fascinating.
And she can break it down for you.
I would love to, if you could give our viewers kind of a behind the scenes look at how you think about that. And
But we'll invite
We'll
you
save it.
back after this month-long
Okay.
yes,
tour.
We could even get one of our planning people here if you really want to dig into details. If you want the high view, that would be me, but we can figure it out. But
Excellent.
I would love to come back anytime. It's
Yes.
always fun to see both of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, before we let you go, see, we went over, but we have one
Sorry.
guest question that we ask everyone, and so you've lost all your luggage, okay?
This has happened before.
But I have a magic bejeweled wand that can return one item to you. What item would it be?
Shoes. I wear size 11, which are impossible to find in most places in the world. So that is the easiest question to answer.
you were quick with that answer.
You know what?
No problem.
That as someone who is a size 13, I and I don't mind going barefoot most of the time, but I'm telling you, that you answered that very, very fast. Pam, thank you so much. And you know what? I hope that I get to see you. I'll be over there around the same time that you are over in Europe, so I hope our paths cross then. But if not, I know that we'll have you back soon because Jason's just got more to talk to you about for sure.
Well, it was so great to see you both. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right,
you.
take care. Mwah. I mean, we could have just had her on for the whole show.
Absolutely.
Forget
Absolutely.
talking about my
She's fantastic.
two-piece polyester suits.
Well, that's fun too.
Yeah, but not Pam Hoffee.
She's
fun.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That was fun. I could talk to her for hours, as you probably noticed.
So in the chat, I just noticed Dan said, "Why wouldn't GoGo have just sold that business unit off?" And I know that that's not. I mean, obviously we're not insiders, so we don't know that.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, why do you think they didn't just sell it off?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Conjecture? I mean, they no one wanted to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, it was on a decline for a long period of time. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, in general terms, if you're a business in any industry, right, and you're growing, you can choose to grow by acquiring competitors, or you can choose to grow by growing organically, attracting new customers. And when you grow through acquisition, you're paying, a multiple of earnings, right? So if a business makes, $1 million, you might pay $4 or $5 or $10 million for it, right? And you kind of recoup that investment over time. If you have a business that is declining in sales or profit, you're willing to pay less for it, obviously. Mm-hmm. But you also are looking at what does it cost me to get that same amount of growth by attracting new customers. So it could be a situation, and I don't have any information or insight directly to this, but it could be a situation where, competitors said, well, it's cheaper for us to acquire new business just ourselves
Yeah,
organically
through our channels.
than to pay, a high multiple on a declining business. I don't know.
Right.
But
And I would
that's-
I would imagine too, there wasn't a product that was unique to them that, it was more the human factor of
Right.
what they put together that made a difference. But again, we don't know. And
I don't know.
but-
It's a good question, Dan. It's a
It
good
is
question, Dan. I wondered kind of the same.
Yeah. But anyway, it was a lot of fun having Pam on.
Yeah.
And to have someone, so Pam joined the Globus family of brands, which Avalon is a part of the Globus family of brands, in case you didn't know. And Globus is all about touring. So she came into the company and worked her way into chief operating officer within that organization. So, they tour all around the globe.
Yeah.
So I then moved into managing director of Avalon, and then in 2022 became the president of Avalon. So when you were asking about, I'd love to have you back on about, how you put these things together. I mean, she has been a part of that through touring.
Yeah.
And through the river cruise, through our Avalon Waterways, and what I know about her, I know a story that she'll always talk about, is going to these caves where there's no lights. You just have like a little headlight on, and you go and do wine tasting, and it's like a sensory deprivation thing. You have to turn off your light while you're drinking wine, and it's supposed to enhance your experience. And she is so passionate about talking about that. And I don't even know, if I remember correctly, I don't even know that she's that passionate about wine. But when she talks about experiences, it's that important. So I wanted to, because you went there, I just wanted to give that little shout out to Avalon because, and the Globes family of brands, because they do a lot of in-depth work there is a lot of competition. A lot of competition.
Absolutely.
And they have to keep it unique.
Yep. Pam is a very sharp individual and an equally great person, which is always
Nice human.
yeah.
Nice human.
Yeah.
So because we were talking so much with Pam, so we had some segments that we were going to do that we're going to have to save. So
We'll have to wait till next time.
Yeah. So you're going to have to tune in
Yes.
next week because we are going to talk about an area in France that you are very, very passionate about.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little marketing because, by the way, I like to talk about marketing. And so do you.
I do.
So, we can really, yeah. So, so we've got that to look forward to. And, is there anything that you wanted to throw in before we wrapped up the show?
I'm way to put me on the spot with nothing planned there. I'll say this.
Well, because I knew we had a lot planned, so I
I don't want to tease anymore about next week.
Yeah.
Some fun stuff on Bordeaux for next week. But I'll say this. Look, we're a couple months into 2024, right? And it is an election year. And those of you who love travel and live travel, you're in this industry. Every time we roll around to an election year, it's kind of like, everyone holds their breath a little bit. Like, is travel demand going to stay strong? And coming off the last year we've had, and really the last kind of, 24 months?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty strong numbers. And I know a lot of people are saying, gosh, can it continue? And you're seeing some companies, like notably Expedia, laid off a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were taking that as a sign of, oh gosh, travel demand is softening. And I think even Expedia pointed to that. But I have a little contrary view.
Okay.
Shocking, I know. While there are segments that might see some softness, most of the professional advisor community, the products that we're selling, I think we're likely to still see some pretty strong demand. And some of the layoffs you're seeing at some of the more tech-focused companies are largely about cost savings and automation. And I wouldn't read too much into that, or I wouldn't go running for the hills. Now, look, demand, eventually, it goes in cycles, right? Eventually, there's going to be some softness. You know, what's Q3 and 4 going to look like as the political scene really ratchets up? Who knows, right? There's a lot of people in America that will kind of, pull things closer to the vest a little bit during that, because there will be uncertainty, right? I mean, who the heck knows what's going to happen? But I think demand is still in a pretty good space. So if you're have seen any of those headlines, or if you're worried, gosh, can this continue forever? No, not forever, but I think we're still in a pretty good place.
Yeah. Xanadu.
Is there a song called Xanadu?
Now we're in Xanadu.
Oh, that's what you're
I'm trying to
singing?
sing
I
it
thought you
right
were
now.
just making that up.
Anyway, all right. Guys, I want to thank our special guest, Pam Hoffee, from Avalon Waterways. Cannot wait, and can't wait that they're going to have a christening of a ship, welcoming a new ship into the family. Those of you who joined us live, again, thank you. And hopefully you will join us live next week, 4 p.m. Eastern. Look for us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Just search Live Travel Show. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.